Peace. Hoodmystic.com proudly presents Keeping It Conscious, episode 4. Shango, man, we gonna deal with some man magic. I feel as though, as far as consciousness go, you women have it like it's the NBA, and the men we like the WNBA. No disrespect, but there's not many people speaking to magic that really inspires divine masculinity. I think it's fitting because Mars and Venus are conjunct and it's a full moon, and I feel as though balance is key. So I feel as though since it's not talked about, many people don't understand masculine energy as it relates to consciousness. Masculine energy is almost demonized and vilified, and we don't understand it. But the masculine energy that I'm talking about today is about being in the wilderness, and I use the wilderness as a metaphor for life. And if you're anything like me, you are put out in this world with no instruction booklet, and you got to figure it out. So just like being in the wilderness, you have to figure it out. And it'd be nice to build a log cabin. It'd be nice to have irrigation and plumbing in the wilderness, but first things first, we need to know how to create fire. And that's why we're dealing with Shango, and we're dealing with consciousness. And not to say that you're new in the consciousness, but I feel like I've been dealing with Shango for a while, and this is not a new thing for me, but it's a continuous thing for me. And I've been dealing with Shango for months now, and I'm finally like speaking about it for dealing with the energy exclusively. I have an altar specifically designated to Shango, and various other altars, but today it's all about Shango and how it relates to the physical body and how it helps us in consciousness and magic. First things first, if you understand fire, because Shango represents fire, Shango represents creation, Shango represents survival, and also thriving. But to get to that level, you have to know how to create fire. But once you learn how to create fire, you don't have to constantly create fire. Now you just have to focus on kindling it and building it. So just understanding the elements of magic and really bridging the gap to consciousness. And so attention is not so much focused on your problems. It's really focused on this consciousness and really being able to deal with it with 100% of your attention and your focus, because you realize that to really overcome your problems is not a mental acuity. It's about really having magical concepts and ancestral thoughts, and really exhibiting some form of wisdom, and really embodying in this power, and really building up this power, and really understanding and have a hold of your power. And not, because I hear what people talk about on a daily, and it's a want, and it's a need, and it's a lack, and it is a victim mentality. So what I want us to do is to exhibit power over circumstances. And so the first things first is to deal with this Shango energy. I got some tricks of the trade that work for me, that I'll talk about later. And if there's any questions, be sure to ask. If there's anything you want to add, be sure to add, and I'll add it into the build, because it's not about me knowing everything. It's about opening the door to different aspects of consciousness and having a build and really having a fair exchange. And knowledge is not mine, knowledge is everybody's, and this is the shit that I like to talk about, so I'm just talking about it. Some people like to talk about sports or whatever. That's just not my bag. This is my bag. So moving forward, Shango's archetype. So when we talk about the archetypes are personifications, mythologies that represent it is a symbol that represents something greater. Because if I was to just tell you power, then it wouldn't. You've been hearing power your whole life. It's American Electric Power. It's a show called Power. It's a song in the 90s called I Got the Power. You hope that your power on. You know, power don't really mean shit. So I have to give you layers upon layers of mythology and game and knowledge and oral traditions and understandings and life experiences for you to fully understand what it is to have power and what it is to not have power. And that's why we get into the symbology of Shango and we start talking about the stories of Shango, because we want to fully display what it means to have power and what it means to not have power, and how we can have power in our life regardless if we made mistakes, regardless if we're in a bad situation. You probably in a bad situation right now, so you can start to learn how to exhibit your power. You understand? So it's never a bad situation. It's always a good situation, because you always have the ability to perform at a better level. If you have an amazing sex right now, working with Shango, you can have fucking out of this world sex dealing with Shango. If you got a lot of money right now, you can have, you know, enormous money, you know, dealing with Shango. Shango's about a better quality of life. Shango is the Orisha of Happiness. That's why I encourage everybody to get an understanding of Shango for themselves, because I just personally want your ass to be happy. I mean, at the end of the day, and it's all about building up the masculine energy. When you think about Shango in literary terms, meaning to strike, meaning to activate, meaning to awaken that root chakra, the Muladhara chakra, what they say in Hindu, the root chakra, the number one chakra, the chakra that connects you to earth. Some call it gravity. I call it unconditional love. The earth is always calling you back down to it, regardless, no matter how far, however high you get in the sky, the earth will always welcome you back with open arms. And that's unconditional love. And really understanding that connection between you and Mother Earth. When your mama might turn your back on you, Earth will always be there to cradle you, even in water, even no matter what circumstances or situation if you are free, you will be drawn down to it. So connecting to earth, building up that root chakra, really awakening that root chakra is 101 to consciousness. And I think a lot of people want to have elaborate heating systems, but they don't know how to build a fire. And so that's why I'm talking about Shango. And I'm not talking about people, I'm talking about myself. Generally, when I came into consciousness, I wanted to be just so great and so knowledgeable. But the fact of the matter, I didn't know shit because I haven't experienced it. I couldn't tell you about Shango if I never worked with him. I couldn't, in all honesty, even talk about Shango if I haven't been working with him, you know, for a long time. And just really having these heart-to-heart conversations, like, you know, really having dreams and him coming to me in dreams and different symbologies and different walks of life in Egyptian mythology, seeing Shango in Native American mythology, seeing Shango as a Moor, seeing Shango as a slave, you know what I'm saying? From Nat Turner to Estebanico, like seeing Shango in so many different lights and so many different incarnations, you really dealing with a king. And when you talk about a lifetime, you're talking about an 80-year span of just, you know, a man's life that lives and dies. And these men are able to leave a legacy representing power. And when you deal with obstacles, like some Shango shit is overcoming those obstacles and not ever being a victim, no matter what circumstance you in, whether you find yourself as a slave or a black man in America. That is just the obstacle. That is just a challenge. That is not something that is to say that, you know, the enemy has won. So dealing with Shango, you begin to destroy all your enemies because you raise your consciousness, you raise your awareness, and you build your root chakra, and you start to heal and balance your root chakra. Since we are dealing with the full moon in Libra, the sun is in Libra, dealing with balance. The moon is in Aries, dealing with assertive nature. So Aries is Shango. The full moon is, you know, water or Yemiya. So where are you at in achieving your happiness? Like really having that happy place versus being in a place where you trying to be where you making other people happy, or you thinking that people is really concerned about your life and your existence, whether it be your mama or anybody, and you're not consciously concerned with your own personal happiness. And Shango is here to work with, like, you know, whether it be drawing a picture of the veve, of the axe with the snake, and painting it red, whether getting you a figurine off Amazon and consecrating it and charging it, whether you like to go to thrift stores, whether you like to draw, whether you like to do like a clay model. I mean, there's so many ways that you can engage your subconscious mind to contact and do work with Shango. And I think the major key to this, that I wanted to start off with, but I forgot, is really the imagination. That's really key in working with the ancestors and working with Orishas and working and really just spirituality in general. This isn't about what other people think. Especially when we're trying to develop and cultivate our imagination, it's about cultivating and developing your own mind. So it's interesting too. I wrote on there many different connections between Shango and Jay-Z, but I just think of it as interesting as, like, you know, Oshun and Shango and Ogun, how it's really telling you a story on love and loss and how to cope with love and loss and how to adjust in these modern times. When you look at love triangles and different people loving each other, and then even life and death, when people transcend to the other plane, what happens in that instance? They eventually come together and right all wrongs and things of that nature, and overall through the trials and tribulations of love and loss, that true love transcends life and death. So it's a lot of things that goes on with understanding desire and energy and power, and really dealing with Shango and the energy, because you're dealing with magnetism, you're dealing with many different lovers and many different things that you like, and not really pleasing other people, but really learning how to please yourself. And I think that's really key for us as conscious individuals. It's not about pleasing other people. I think generally what makes us conscious, or what makes us quote unquote crazy or outcasts or black sheep, is because we know what the fuck makes us happy, and we not about to fall in line with the status quo and do what you think makes us happy. And I don't mean it in a polygamy sense. I mean, you having many lovers is you having loves outside of societal norms, and you being okay with that, because doing the things that you love really raise you up to a level of extreme consciousness and extreme freedom, because you no longer have to satisfy other people's needs, and you can really work on self. Really, when you work with Shango, there's no guilt or no shame attached to doing the things that you love, really getting out and dancing. And when you think about the art of dancing and how sexual it is and how no strings is really attached, you could get real sexual and freaky on the dance floor and then act like you don't know that person, but you can have like this intimate and synchronized bond. And so really understanding the metaphysics and the sublimeness of dancing, and that's understanding another level of Shango and power too, because you think about the power that a man would have that can dance. You ever seen a man that could dance that had a problem with getting a woman? I mean, a real dancer, like, you know, that attracts female energy, and that is an example of how we exude our power as men, by dancing. Shango is a king, a leader, but at the same time, he's not afraid to have a good time, not afraid to party, and really understanding, you know, your desire is your desire. That's what it means to be a king. That's what it means to be happy. Your desire is yours, so own it and be okay with it. And that's really important moving forward. Just the magic of it all, the sorcerer working with Shango. You get money, you get success, you get the girl, you get the promotion, not because you really want that shit. It's because you have a level of magnetism and a level of power that is now attractive. That's a different level of the game. And see, when you back to the full moon in Aries, that's a different level of the game. When you coming with so much mojo and you coming with so much power that people just want to fall at your feet. That's what working with Shango gets you. In many different levels, however you want it. And the more you build with Shango, the more he returns. But you don't want to get stuck with dealing with Shango. That's why, like, having this conversation is me documenting and then finally being able to move forward in my journey. But it's been exciting, to say the least. But understanding that passion and energy equates to power. And so working with Shango, you want to work with the sense of smell. So you want to put together little concoctions that represent fire and represent your own sense of smell. Because when you work with your smell, you awaken up different energies within you. So the concoction that I came up with to honor Shango, I got some John the Conqueror root. Shango really likes that, and I've always worked with John the Conqueror root and Shango, and it works all the time. Like, I get such a surge of power and energy. My girl can testify to that. But yeah, so I take the John the Conqueror root, I get me some coarse sandpaper and grind it down to a powdery substance. Then I take my frankincense and myrrh, because I just like that for magical purposes. When I'm doing anything magical, I like to grind up the frankincense and myrrh resin down to a powder, mix it in with the St. John's High John the Conqueror root, and then I want to add like some red sandalwood and then some red cedar, and just, that's all fire mixture, you know what I'm saying? It's real powerful, it's real potent, and you can take the powder, put it in a mojo bag, walk around with it. What I like to do is burn it, because like I said, when I work with Shango, I like to work with the sense of smell. So I even got some Mula Dahara root chakra incense from Song of India. Like, check them out, they got the best incense, like, bar none. But yeah, I need to start selling those. But really understanding the root chakra and that assertive energy and that base energy in Shango, and it's all about creating a better life for yourself. And whatever situation you find yourself in, you can always create a better situation for yourself. It always can be better. There's no such thing as best. You always want to keep striving and going for better and more sublime relationships and more sublime within yourself, more peace, more power, and more just a sense of self that's so strong that it don't really matter what other people are saying on the outside of you. Not to say that you live in a vacuum, but to say that you are the vacuum. That's another level of the game, and that's what it's talking about in consciousness. It's not about who has the most followers, who say the deepest shit on Facebook, who's the most popular. It's about raising your Kundalini. It's about striking your root chakra and building up your personal magnetism and really being excited about what the fuck you want to be excited about, regardless if it's, shuffling cards or doing cartwheels on your front lawn. If that's what excites you, then you need to be empowered enough to know that's what excites you. And if what excites you is doing cartwheels in your front lawn, but you go to work every day, then you need to work with Chango so you can have the courage to start doing cartwheels and be the best cartwheel person that you need to be. And you want to work with Chango for all encompassing, all together, because Chango is singular. He don't got many different paths, because people want to deal with OSHE, but I wonder why nobody ever want to talk about the OSHE that went crazy and gave her twins to Yemiya and eventually just was so depressed that she died. I wonder why nobody want to talk about that OSHE. So, but with Chango is a little bit more singular. It's a little bit more certain. Even when you talk about the Hindu religion with the same science of the Kundalini and the root chakra, and you have Shakti and Shiva. Shiva Lingam is that force that rises you up. That is that symbol for creativity and creative power, and it's all about the snake that winds around the lingam, and the snake that winds around the lingam is OSHE. But Shiva is Shango. So if you ever wanted to learn more about Chango, where in African is more scatterbrained and is more fragmented and is saying this and is saying that, you can learn more about Shiva in the Hindu, because it's the same thing. You are not a being that is Egyptian or Moor or Hindu or American or South American. You are all spirit, and all of these religions and things are fragments, but they're all talking about the same thing. And if you can connect them to the human body, and you can connect them to expanding your consciousness, then you won. I'm not here for the soap opera of it all. I'm not here for the religionism of it all. I'm here for you personally, you the individual, taking this information, understanding it, and incorporating it into your daily life, making it a part of your conversation, so it can become real, instead of the problems and the concerns and the worries and the fears and the guilt that y'all constantly talk about. I mean, how much can you talk about a fear that never happens? How many days have you been worried about something that never happened? So ultimately, we have to start talking about raising our energy and what's going to happen once we get to that point where we're understanding of, we're really conscious and we're not just trying to be something for popularity's sake or be something as a rebellion or a revolution, but just something that is within us that we fully understand. What's up? And that's the thing. So the question was, what day do people generally celebrate Shango? And that's the thing. Depending on who you talk to, it'll be a Wednesday or a Tuesday or a Saturday or a Sunday. Personally, you have to deal with Shango on when you feel moved to deal with Shango. And that could be a Sunday at 4 o'clock. That could be Thursday. Who knows? That's really the truth. Wednesday or Tuesday. I would personally say Tuesday because Tuesday is my Mars day. But depending on the religion or region, Wednesday is the Mars day. So some people celebrate them on Wednesday. I got the feeling today, so I celebrated the nigga today. And if this would have been Friday, I would have did this on Friday. So, and I'm celebrating simultaneously Orula at the same time. I'm not even talking about Orula. I'm actively celebrating Orula. Like, I'm in that mode. And that's the thing about us in spirituality. We can celebrate Shango and Kali Ma and a Native American deity, and we can use the deities that we created. It's all about what makes sense to us as far as developing our own human consciousness and our own human understanding, and nobody can tell you that. You have to be the one to follow your own lead. But it's all about manifestation, and when you want to manifest some shit real fast and you want it to pop off for you and you want results, you want to deal with Shango, and you want to deal with the colors red and white candle. If you don't have a figurine, if you do have a figurine, you want to drape them off in gold. You want to treat them right. My girl rubbed Shango down with red palm oil. Make them just feel like a man, I guess. Offer cigars. He drink rum he really drinks rum. Like, it's so crazy. But if you have Shango and you offer him rum, he will drink it. Like, not no cheap rum either, and he gets spoiled too. So I give Shango like he really drinks it, so I buy it for him, you know what I'm saying, because it really goes. So and then whatever your spirit tells you Shango wants, because Shango is a representation of your own masculine energy, and so we dealing with magic now, so we trying to understand magic and so with magic, typically you either invoke an energy or you evoke an energy. And so if I'm a woman and I want to deal with Shango, I want to evoke Shango in a mate. If I'm a man, I want to invoke Shango because I want to have the properties of being perfect, or perfect in my eyes, or being the best man that I can be. If you a woman, you want to do Shango work and you want to evoke him and you want to see Shango. You want to deal with Shango. You want to deal with a Shango type energy. You don't, depending on the type of woman you is, because I don't have no judgment on anything, you feel me? You could be a woman and want to invoke Shango, and you could be a man and want to evoke. That's just the reality, because there's no rules to this, and we set our own rules and we set our own standards and rules to this. But traditionally, a man wants to invoke Shango and a woman wants to evoke Shango. I want to invoke Shango. I want to possess the qualities of power. A woman might want to evoke a man with power so she can be in her most powerful nature, which is submissive, which is receptive, which is the oracle nature. And that is the marriage of the full moon and Aries too, when those energies come together. Hopefully, if you single, you want to combine those energies within yourself, or you want to evoke that energy into your partner or your future partner. If you in a relationship, you want to kind of become one being where you doing what you need to do as a man, and whatever that is, and she's doing what she needs to do as a woman, whatever that is, and it's a beautiful existence. So yeah, man, I didn't want to talk about Jay-Z because I don't want to sound crazy, but I'm not going to talk about Jay-Z because the more I think about it, the more I argue with myself. So I can't take that. So it's just interesting that Shango's feast day is December 4th and Jay-Z's birthday is December 4th. And he even has a lyric where he says it real subtly that his saint is Chango and El Gran Santo candles on the mantle and whatever with Drake or whatever. So I don't know, but I just think it's interesting, and I think it's dope that, you know, a person, because let's be honest, how many niggas you know can't even talk about selling drugs and be a quote unquote thug type individual and ascend to the level that Jay-Z has with such grace and such boss moves and power moves? And I don't know if it's Illuminati or not. I can say it's Illuminati because I'm a hater, but me personally, I just think that's a smart melanated person. He's advanced with his approach to human life. And he's a trendsetter, and he thinks on a different level, and he takes advantage of situations. He's a leader. That's what I see. If I take my hater, if I didn't drink no haterade today, so that's how I'm looking at Jay-Z today. Usually I drink haterade to start my day, but today I was drinking green tea. So
someone mentioned that they were talking to a friend and said that he possibly have OSHE energy, Ochoshi energy. But they like your perspective. I think that's interesting.
Yeah. And Ochoshi is like Shango, but through the fire. Like one, it's the eighth. He's the eighth deity. So it's 7 African powers. It's 7 chakras. Ochoshi is the 8th warrior, like ready to do damage, like ready to really like be a real warrior. So if a person has Ochoshi energy, then that's a serious person. That if anybody I meet had Ochoshi energy, and you know, that's if they on my side, then that would be like my best friend for real. Like if I can notice the Ochoshi in a person, because you gotta think, like in 2017, people are either regressing or progressing at a amazing level. So you always looking for those Ochoshi type people. So you know, that's just next level stuff. So yeah, that's beautiful. But finally, man, Shango, as a man, what Shango does to you, he takes you from being repressed, your sexual energy, from being repressed to fully and happily and proudly expressing, from repressed to express, you know, your sexual energy as a man. You know, so much women talk about sexual energy and things of that nature, and it is like men don't have a say-so in the matter, and anything that a man does in general is wrong and is vilified and demonized. But working with Shango and really having the power where, say for instance, you got 2 baby mamas, they not getting along, you work with Shango, they gonna get it. They gonna be like, oh yeah, okay, I can see why she like him, and I know why I like him, and we both like him, and we got kids together. We gonna work this thing out, cause I ain't about to let him go. And I know she ain't, like, see, Shango changed the whole perspective of some drama, because I'm gonna tell you one thing, as a man, the problem ain't the woman. The problem is you not having power real power to handle a situation. All the times as a young cat and having problems with women, if I had a nickel for every time a woman said, well, if you would have just told me, or if you would have just been honest, we would have just had a whole complete different situation. And so, generally, it's our lack of power and lack of being able to be truthful in the confines of a relationship. And a lot of it is probably because relationships with our moms, to be honest. So, generally, dealing with Shango, you got that power, and now people start to get it. And it ain't, why am I dealing with you to... I have to get a piece of you somehow, some way. Like, and it ain't about being buff or having muscles. It's just about being confident. And being confident is all the muscles that you need in real life. So many dudes out here with no muscles, with beautiful women, and vice versa. We all out here pulling and doing better than what we supposed to be doing because we have some form of confidence. So working with Shango is beautiful, man. And ultimately, we got to do our own work. This is just my interpretation. It's just my viewpoint. If you could grab anything to help you, if you want to just like hit me up on a message and just talk random about Orishas or anything spiritual, feel free, because I'm always down for the conversation. But I can do a reading. I will open the floor up now for anybody that have any questions.